All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and get started since it's a small group. If you want to, you can go ahead and turn on your camera and microphone if you want to, so I can see who you are for a minute. Now, were either of you in my last presentation where I talk about Blender a little bit? I'm going to call that a no. So here's what we're going to do. I'm using a free tool called Blender, which allows you to build 3D models, which is really, really cool. And then there is another tool that you can add to that, which is also free. Make sure I'm seeing the chat. Okay, you have Blender? Great, great, great. Now, if you have one of the older versions of Blender, it used to have a thing called the game engine built in. But it's not in the newest version. The good news is that there are a lot of plugins available, and the one I'm going to show you here is called Armory. You can install it right now, but I'm telling you, I'm going to move way too fast. So here's what I'm going to give you, Majid, both of you, is when you look at the place where you signed in, that web page where you clicked to get in here, you look at the link and you'll see a YouTube link. That is a series of about, well, there's like 30 lectures altogether in there. That's a YouTube channel. It's my private YouTube channel. And everything I'm going to do is there. So it'll probably be more fun to just watch me this time and then do it on your own and send me questions when you have them. Does that sound like a good plan? I think if we try to do it together, we'll get about 2 steps in. So have you both done a little bit of modeling? Okay. And Majid, have you done some modeling in Blender? Okay, well, I'm going to do that part really quick, so it'll be fun. So I'm in the standard Blender mode, and I want to build, well, I want to build a car. So there's a bunch of ways to do it, but here's kind of my classic, and I'm going to go a little fast, just so that we can get to the fun stuff. So I'm going to turn on my screencast keys so you can see what I'm doing. This doesn't look much like a car, but that's okay. We can subdivide. And we're going to grab those vertices and E to extrude, and we can pull stuff out, and that's really fun. You can't do that with clay, can you? So I can make a new model. It's a pretty simple model, but it's still going to be pretty powerful. Okay, so we want this thing. Let's make it red, and that's what this thing is the little beach ball allows you to add materials, so you can change the color of things. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to make it red, because we want a red car, right? You can't see it because we can decide how much detail to look at. That's just wireframe, that's just solids, that is with the colors. Okay, now I'm going to grab this part and do something kind of neat here. I'm going to make a new material for the windshield. What kind? You want like the gangster green tinted? Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That's not gangster enough. Now we're talking. Okay, we'll sign that in. Okay, so now I've got a green windshield on a red car. This is not looking like a car. It looks more like a Volvo, I guess. All right, so we got another trick up our sleeve. Here I've got these modifiers. This is one of my favorites called multi-res. And I can subdivide, shade smooth, and now I've got a nice looking car. I'm going to call it a hover car because I'm too lazy to build wheels right now. How's that? So I've built a little car, and again, you should watch. I have a whole bunch of videos on how to build some models in Blender, but we're just going to start with the presumption that we have this one. So I have a car, and now I want to learn how I can actually control it from the, like say the keyboard or a gamepad or something. And it turns out it's not super hard to do, but you do have to have that Armory plugin. So I've already installed that in my video. I've got instructions on how to install the plugin. It's also free. It's not a difficult install. Let's take a look at how that's going to look in the, I'll back it up so I can see. Okay, so that's what my scene is going to look like when I try to make this into a game. But right now, I mean, it's not going to do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to add what's called Armory Traits. So if I drag this window up, this window down here is for animating on a timeline. That's fine, but I want something fancier. And when I have Armory installed, I can add this thing called the Logic Node Editor. Okay, and that's kind of a wacky thing, but it allows me to build these what's called logic trees, which really is programming. A lot of the bigger 3D engines have this now. Unreal and Unity are both experimenting with variations of the same thing. But they're not completely free, and this one is, so I like it. I'm going to call my nodes move car. Okay, and so far it doesn't look all that interesting, right? But let's see if we can make it do something. We can add these nodes. And so I'm going to go ahead and add a couple, see if you can figure out what it is that I'm doing here. I'm going to zoom on in. And spacebar is fine. I'm going to switch it to down. And I'm going to add another node called translate object. Now, translate, rotate, scale, those are math. I know. But we get to use the math all the time. We have a lot of fun with that. Where did my translate go? Okay, here's another fun thing we could do. Add search translate. There it is. Translate object. Now, this little thing is kind of testing to find out, okay, is he pressing down a key? That's what it's asking. And if so, it's going to send an impulse out of there. And I'm going to translate that impulse to the in of this guy. And this guy says, hey, if I hear a positive impulse, I need to do something. Well, what is it going to do? Well, it is going to actually, right now, take the current object, which is this car, and we want it to translate. Well, translate just means move. It's just a fancy term for move, right? And so we can move in 3 different ways because it's a 3D package. We can move along X, that's this way, or Y, which is nose and backside, or Z, which is up and down. Well, I want to move it forward in the Y. The thing is, I want to move it forward and it's, well, I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to move it in its Y forward and we'll see how that goes. So what I'm telling it is, in essence, I've written a little program here that says, whenever you hear the space bar being pressed, I want you to move forward a little bit. So we'll see if we can actually make this thing do that. Now, in order to do that, we got a couple more steps we need to do. I'm going to come back over to the object. And when you have Armory installed, you'll have this little Armory Traits box in an object. And what that means is I can add various kinds of traits. This is using a language called Hacks, which is pretty, it's pretty good. I'm going to go with nodes because that's easy. That's what we've got. And then you have to choose the node tree that we just made. So I'm telling it, okay, car, I want you to listen to this little program we just wrote. Wait, we're not typing. Yeah, programming isn't about typing. Programming is about thinking well. And so sometimes you type it, sometimes you drag and drop these little boxes. Okay, I'm going to change a couple of configurations. We'll make it render half size so it's a little faster. And I think we're ready to go. So we'll hit the play button and you'll see, oh, we got to save it first. That's fine. Save as, and don't you worry, I have a temporary directory here somewhere on my desktop. Temp.blend, it's not happy about that, but that's fine. Now we'll try again. And you'll see the little compiling, because what it's going to do is it's going to convert it over to a format that can be run. And what's really cool is that you can compile it to run on a web browser, or you can compile it to work on a Windows or a Mac machine or whatever. I'm just going to go with the native that they call Chrome, which is fine. And you can see, okay, it's not the most exciting game ever, but it's doing something. And what should we do? Well, we should press the space bar and see. Am I the only one who's excited? I can't tell if you're excited, but I'm pretty excited because we just got our car to move. Come on, that's pretty cool. So are you excited? You could say I'm excited in the chat. That would make me happy. Okay, thank you. All right, that makes me happier because I just don't know if you're out there just hanging out or what. Okay. So what should we do now? Should we change it so we could also go backwards? That'd be fun. So rather than the space bar, let's attach this. You want to do WASD, classic gaming. Okay, so we'll do the W, and now we want to deal with backing up, right? So I can select both of those, Shift-D to duplicate, and now I can talk about how to go backwards. Well, we'll change it to S. All right, and then this time, what do we have to do? Well, let's change that vector from a y of positive 0.1 to a y of negative 0.1. Now, that doesn't seem like it's moving very far, but this thing is running at 60 frames a second. So if you go 1/10 of a unit 60 times a second, you're moving pretty quick. So that'll be fun. All right, should we try it? I don't know. I'm getting a little nervous. We'll give it a shot. Let's see what it does. All right, so we'll hit the F5. It's just the fast key for compiling. Oh yeah, W forward, S back. I've had actual cars that don't work this well. All right, so that's pretty good. Now what do we need? Well, we got to have a steering committee. We got to turn this thing, right? All right, so here's how we're going to do that. Let's go with the A key maybe. And this time we don't, turning isn't the same as translating, right? Translate means we add a vector, but rotating is a much more complex thing. But the good news is there's already a rotate built in. So under action, there's a rotate object. There's also one that rotated around axis, but it's just fine. So whenever the A key is pressed, we're going to rotate. And I always get this wrong at first, so we'll just see what happens. No, I want to rotate around the Z axis, which is the one pointing up and down, at least in this. So I'm going to try that a little bit and see what that does for us. I think I'm just going to go one direction because I often get it wrong. So I'll just get this one right, and then I'll figure out the other one. And there's reasons that rotation sometimes is problematic, but we'll go with this. So we're going forward, we're going back. Now we'll hit the A key, and I went in the wrong direction. So that's one problem. And there's another problem. Forward and back is still going the same direction. It's not actually following the car's nose. But here's one of the big ideas in programming is that you never solve more than one problem at a time. So let's just deal with the fact that the A key is rotating in the wrong direction, and we need a D key. So we'll make this 0.1. We'll copy the whole shebang. And now we'll make that the D key, right? And then we'll make this go the other way. All right, so let's see if that does what we want. So we'll hit that. Wait for it to compile. Okay. So here we go. You ready? Forward, back, turn left. It's turning left. Turn right is turning right. But it's also doing that weird thing. Okay. I have had cars that behave like this too, skidding on the road. So that may not be exactly what we want. And here's the problem. It turns out that when you're moving a thing around, it is doing exactly what we told it, but we told it that we want to move in the y-axis. The question is, what is the y-axis? I'm gonna make it more clear by changing the way we're looking at this a little bit. Move the camera so that we're looking straight down when we run it. That's going to be easier to see. So come on. Oh dear. Yeah, that sometimes happens. I've got the camera set incorrectly. Let's try that. Okay. See if that helps. There's the car. Okay. So Y is the world's Y is up right now. And so when I press the W key, the car moves up, just like I told it. When I press the S key, the car moves up, because what I'm telling it to do is follow the world's Y. And at the moment, because I haven't rotated the car's Y-axis is pointing the same direction as the world's Y-axis, right? But when I rotate the car, now the car's Y-axis is going that way, but the world's Y-axis is still going up. So whenever you rotate, you're essentially creating a new coordinate system. And what I got to tell it is, no, no, no. I want you to move on your own Y-axis, not the world's. And that's what this little checkbox is. And so that means now when we try it again, it's going to go according to the way the world is set up. So we go that way, and now as I turn it, it's following its nose. Oh, isn't that fun? That's pretty cool. I promised a first-person shooter, but I'm not sure we're going to get there. If you watch the videos, you will. But I think what we need to do now, you want to add some physics to this thing so we can skid. Oh, yeah, that'd be fun. Okay, so let's see. We'll take this. I think I'll, yeah, that's fine. We're going to take this car, and we're going to make it so it can use physics. That would be fun. And to use that, there's a tab right here called the physics tab. And we're going to tell it, hey, car, you are a rigid body. That means that you will respond to physics. So you're going to fall and you're going to conk into things. That's the main thing that physics does. Consult any cartoon. All right, so we'll run this and see what happens. And actually, I'm not sure you'll be able to tell, but the car will eventually get smaller and disappear. What is happening? Well, the car is falling. Because I gave it gravity, the car is falling. Well, okay. All right. So here's what we need to do. We need to give it something to land on. So we'll add a plane. Scale 25. Okay. So let's scale it bigger than that. Okay. So now we have a plane. And that plane is going to be the thing the car is going to land on, we hope, right? So the car is over the plane. That's good. All right, so let's try this again and see what happens. Spoiler alert, it's not going to be better. It fell right through. Oh, dear. Okay, and here's why. The computer is trying to be as efficient as it can, because this takes a lot of computing power. So we have to tell it, yo, plane, you are the ground. You should stop things from falling. So we're going to set the ground, and first let's just name it as the ground. Or yeah, that's good, ground. We're also going to give it a physics product. We're going to call it a rigid body, but we'll call it a passive rigid body. And what that means is now when the car lands on it, it'll stop. So let's give that a shot and see if that works any better. So there's our car, and it stopped on the land. And that's pretty good. And as it's moving, that's actually pretty good too. Actually, I like the lighting is better now that we have a floor. It looks kind of shiny, but we can fix that. Okay, that's pretty good. But we're still not really using physics. In order to get physics working correctly, rather than doing a translate, what we're going to do is we're going to apply a force. So I don't know if you took physics yet, but in physics we talk about applying a force to something to make it move, and so that's what we're going to do. And I'm looking here. There's the physics. Apply force. Yeah. So we'll take the output of that. We'll make it the input of that. We're going to apply a force in the positive y direction. I think we'll need to do a pretty sizable one. Let's try 10 and see what that does. Okay. Let's just run this like it is, and we'll see what happens. Using Tinkercad, because I don't think that has a game engine, does it? Okay, there we've got our force working, but it's working the wrong direction. So we have to do this on local axis. We'll try that again. And now we've got this car that we can drive around and it skids. That's pretty exciting. Now we can play around with a lot of the settings. Oh, we rolled it. Yes. Now you know you've got a game. Because we can roll it, we can knock things over. You know what we need? We need something to crash into. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. So we've got a few minutes. We can do this. Let's make an innocent bystander. I think what I'm going to do is change this one to apply force also. Let me show you why. Because when we're applying force forward, that works really great. But then it feels weird to suddenly be going backwards. So that's not really that good. We'll apply force to go backwards as well. So we'll take this guy, we'll copy that. We'll bring that to the output and we'll do like a -5. See if that works on the local axis. So we'll try this and see what's happening. I'm feeling pretty good about our life right now. Forward, nice. Go forward some. The brakes aren't as powerful as the engine and it doesn't back up as much. That's pretty great. Are you pretty excited about this? Could you make this? You might have to practice a bit. All right, let's put an innocent bystander in place. Shift A, cube. We'll take a cube and we'll move it. Move it up a bit. All right, that's pretty good. We'll put the cube right there. Let's change its color. Okay, so we'll come down here. And we'll make it, I don't know. What do you want? Green cube, blue cube. So make a blue cube. And actually, let's just see what happens when we just run this now. Oh, we can't see the cube. Okay. We'll put it right there. There's that cube sitting there, and we completely ignore it. Well, that's not fun. All right, why? Well, we have to turn on the physics. Oh, that makes sense. So we'll go ahead and turn on physics for the cube. So we'll go over here, and we'll set it to a rigid body. And you'll notice one thing is it'll fall. That'll be fun. We'll put it a little closer to the ground. Okay. It'll fall down, I hope, when we crash into it. Let's see what it does.
Mr. Harrison, I've been using Tinkercad. Is that still okay?
Well, it is, but I don't think Tinkercad has a game engine in it, does it?
I made it, the car and everything.
Oh, yeah. But the thing about Tinkercad is I don't remember it actually having the ability to make games. So you can make an object, which is pretty cool. But can you make a game out of it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I have been making things move.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. So G, Z1. Okay. Shift D, G, Y1. No. All right. Shift D, G, Z2. There we go. Shift D, G, Z2. Now I'm going to make a stack of things. Because that'll just be more fun. Because now when we run into these things, they're going to crash stuff over. So fun? Let's take a look at it and see if it works. Here we go. Bam. And they're falling on me. We could also do fun things like this. Let's take that. Let's take and look right here. Control-0. I'm going to move the camera here so I'm right behind the car and see how that goes. Actually, let's move it. that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so this time we're gonna actually have the camera follow the car. Would that be cool? So that, Control P to make them apparent. And now when I run it, I'm actually, whoa, tipping over. I'm gonna go over this way. I'm gonna stop, don't fall off the world. I'm gonna go run into those blocks. Yes, whoa, boom. How fun is that? That's pretty fun. So you can see just using these relatively simple tools, we can make some really, really neat stuff. Do you have questions for me? Okay, well, thanks a lot for your time, guys. I love that you were here. And it really is nice to hear from you. If you do go back to the Celebrate Science page, you'll see here, and I'll show it to you. Let's find us here, 3:30. I have a link here to several useful things for you. Oh my goodness, move on down to Andy. There we go. All right, you'll see down here link to this video series, and that's a YouTube, it's a private YouTube link. And on this series, I'll go all the way from building something in Blender, shut up Andy, to what we just did, to making collisions and physics and building a first-person shooter with mouse motion and all that stuff. Does that sound like fun?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, the website for the Armory download is right here, Armory 3D. And you download it, it'll just be a zip file, and then look at that first video and I'll show you how to attach that zip file to Blender. All right, you guys have a great day.
All right,
Thanks, Andy.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye.